Hello friends, now let us continue with the discussion of HDFS, what we were discussing in our last lecture. So we were talking about the concepts like functions of all this HDFS design concepts. So inside that we have seen blocks, name nodes and data nodes. Now let us make use of the further discussion upon block caching, HDFS federation, HDFS high availability, command line interface, Hadoop file system and interfaces, and the other concepts. Now let us see how exactly these things are going to function when we are working with the name nodes and so on. So we have already discussed about the name node, or let us have a quick recap. When we are making use of a name node, then we can see we have a name node here, and the client is making use of the request for making use of the reading. Then what exactly happens is he makes use of a name node where we have a address for the group of clusters whatever we have here. So here we have the data nodes present here, and by making use of the name nodes metadata, name, replicas and so on, we are getting into the name nodes. He fetches all the information whatever is being required, and the client whenever is trying to make use of the reading, then here itself he reads the things and the output will be given to the client. And sometimes if the client is trying to make any writing operation, then the data node is written first and the replication is done in second rack of the data nodes, whatever we can see here. So whenever we are working with the name nodes, then sometimes only one name node is enough for the operation, and sometimes we need some more name nodes. Like whenever we are using secondary name node, then what exactly happens is, let us assume that client is making a request. Then the client, what he does is, if he's having many operations, like let us say when we are using MCA as the MCA or any department name, then it becomes a primary name node. Then when we get into the semester of that particular student, then it becomes a name node where each one of the students will become a data node. So something like this. When a client is making a request, then first he makes the request to the name node. Then what exactly happens is he enters into the secondary name node. Then he makes a query for the editing or whatever he needs to do. Then making use of file systems image with edit logs and everything, he makes use of file system image and copy the updated file system image back to the name node, and he updates the FSI, that is file system image, inside here the cluster by making use of the secondary name node. So when it happens only when the cluster of the data nodes is too big, then we go for primary name node and secondary name nodes. Then next what we are going to discuss is about block caching. And blocks, as I have already told you, whenever we are making use of data in many clusters, then by making use of blocks, it is very easy for us to handle the contents. Like for example, when we are making use of many images inside our pen drive and want to copy to our hard disk, then it takes a lot of time. But when they are in the form of a zipped format, then it is very easy for us to take the things. So the small bulk of files whatever are there are combined into multiple files, and if the multiple files are greater than 128 MB, and then they are split into different 128 MB blocks, which is the default size of a HDFS block. So here we have one example of a TXT file, and which is having 514 MB, and we can see it has been split into 5 different blocks. Each one of them is having 128, and the remaining 2 MB is given in the last block. So this is called as block caching. So it is nothing but off heap block cache. So normally a data node reads blocks from the disk, but frequently accessed files, the blocks may be explicitly cached inside the data node's memory. Now let us assume that we are trying to have the access to each one of the data again and again, then they are cached inside the data node's memory. Cached in the sense they are in the recent files of the block. and they are called as block cache inside the data node. Then there is something called as HDFS federation, and the HDFS federation is having a 1.x release and 2.x release series and so on, which manages what is the size of the name node, or what is the size of the block, and so on. So all these things are maintained by federation called as HDFS federation. So HDFS federation introduced the 2.x release series, which allows a cluster to scale by adding name nodes, each of which manages a portion of the file system namespace. So for example, one name node might manage all the files rooted under one user or /user, and a second name node might handle files under /share. So under this federation, each name node manages a namespace volume, and which is made of metadata for all the namespaces, and a block pool containing all the blocks for the files in the namespace. The next is HDFS high availability. So when we are talking about HDFS high availability, it is something we are trying to have the access towards the data. Let us assume that there are many data nodes present inside the cluster. Then in some situations, one cluster data node is trying to respond, response time is very high. Then automatically our HDFS file system, what it does is it sees the alternate way or alternate path for the same data to be handled, and it searches for the replica of the particular data where the client response is high. So here what we are trying to say is the availability of the data is very high inside the HDFS file system. So for this HDFS file system, the high availability is being maintained by using some architectural changes. The name nodes must use highly available shared data storage to share the edit log, and when a standby name node comes up, it reads up to the end of the shared edit log to synchronize its state with the active name node, then continues to read the new entries as they are written by the active name node. So similarly, data nodes must send the block reports to both the name nodes, because the block mappings are stored in name nodes memory and not on the disks. So all these things must be updated by the HDFS file system. So the clients must be configured to handle the name node over failover, then using a mechanism that is transparent to all the users, and the secondary name node's role is also subsumed by the standby, which takes periodic checkpoints of the active name node's namespace. That is, they are always updated whenever there is an updation to the data. So the name nodes have to be making use of the checkpoints wherever they are necessary, and if there is any failure, then they will be rolled back to over that particular checkpoint on the failover. So next is the people who are making use of these things or maintaining these things are nothing but the people like NFS filer, that is network file system filer, which maintain the highly available shared storage, or it is also called as Quorum Journal Manager, which is dedicated for HDFS implementation, so which is designed for the purpose of highly available edit log, and this is a recommended choice for most of the HDFS installations. So QGM runs as a group of journal nodes, and each edit must be written to a majority of the journals. So for this HDFS high availability uses Zookeeper for electing the active name node. So the next topic is failover. So the transition from the active name node to the standby is managed by a new entity in the system called the failover. So it is similar to our database management systems rollback type of application. So whenever there is a failover inside our database, then we usually make use of rollback the system to the point wherever we have left out using the checkpoints. So similarly, we are making use of the failover entity, and which is being maintained by Zookeeper application inside our HDFS. So each name node runs a lightweight failover controller process whose job is to monitor its name node for failures. So it is also called as a heart beating mechanism and triggers a failover or should a name node fail. So sometimes it is being also maintained by the administrator in case of a routine maintenance, and it is called as graceful failover. So there is one more application called as fencing present inside the HDFS, which is nothing but preventing the unknown users or illegal users not to cause any harm to the data. So for that we make use of something called as fencing. So the implementation of high availability goes to great lengths to ensure that the previously active name node is prevented from doing any damage and causing corruption. So this method is called as fencing. So the fencing is normally done by making use of NFS command, that is network file systems commands, and disabling the network port via remote management commands by making use of network file system. So there is one technique called as STONET, which is nothing but shoot the other node in the head, and this shoots the node which is trying to make use of any irregularities inside the name node. So the QGM is one we have already seen about the QGM, that is Quorum General Manager, and which allows only one name node to be written at one time. And however, it is still possible for the previously active name node to serve stale read requests to the clients. So setting up an SSH fencing command that will kill the name node's process is a good idea. So the fencing is done by making use of QGM and SSH fencing command. So this is something about what we were talking about the failover and the fencing. So the next simple most thing is the command line interface, which is normally used for working with the normal type of applications like DOS commands and so on. So we are making use of mkdir for make directory, dir for change directory, this one cd for change directory. So it depends upon the working with the command line interface. So Unix is using some different command line interface, Windows is using different command line interface, and so on. So likewise our HDFS also uses a command line interface, which is most of the times used by most of the users. So let us see some simple commands here. So fs is file system dot default fs, so it is going to set the things to default file system, and it is going to set the default file system to HDFS localhost. So this is the default file system for the Hadoop. So if the DFS replication is set to 1, DFS dot replication, that is distributed file system replication, if it is set to 1, then it is replicated 3 times inside the cluster. So basic file system operations, where we have the copying of a file from the local file system to HDFS. Then we make use of a command called as Hadoop. Fs is for file system, and this is the command what we are using for copying the things from the local computer, and this is the file name, and we are trying to put it into user DOM, which is inside the HDFS cluster. So similarly we can here we are using the complete path, and here since the local host is already being taken by default, so we can use only user DOM consul.txt. Then we have one more called as a copy from local inputs, and this takes the things to home directory. So we are making use of one more command where we are using copy to local, and this is going to make use of md5, means I am trying to update it to the copy the file from the HDFS back to the local file system and check whether it is the same, and we are seeing that the address whatever we are seeing here both are same. So the file is intact, and we can conclude that the file has been updated properly. So similarly we can make use of the make dir for creating the directories and list the directories by using the ls command. So here we can see the books is a directory and consul.txt is the file. So with this we conclude this session.